Oh, thank you very much. Look, the Reserve Bank's previous moves, one could say, were more lax in terms of the approach, which obviously, hurt homeowners a lot. Obviously, these moves in the last two announcements are a lot more bolder. Do you think that you could have potentially taken a more aggressive approach, and what do you feel were the risks and implications of that?
Yeah, our objective is price stability and that is low and stable inflation. Is that the very good news is that headline inflation has got back to 2.2%, so within the target 1 to 3% target range in the September quarter. But there's unders and overs in that. So on one hand, we weak global growth, lowering of inflation offshore has supported lower import prices here in New Zealand. So tradables inflation fell quite significantly. Fuel is a great example of that. On the other hand, while we've got domestic inflation also falling, that is still remains well outside of the target range. And so from our perspective, getting core inflation, and that means we need to get domestic inflation, continue to bring that down. That means that we need to continue, we've needed to continue to take demand out of the economy. And so the pace of easing that you have seen has been reflective of getting the balance of risks right from that perspective. So as we said, the good news is that spare capacity that has risen in the economy as a result of that restrictive monetary policy is now giving us confidence that domestic inflation, those domestic inflation numbers can continue to come down, and that is allowing us to start to accelerate the easing cycle.
I think it's it's sort of like I think your question is sort of hinting, did we need to go as high as 5.5 before coming down and easing, doing 125 basis points over the last 3 months. I think we'll obviously be doing a full review of the disinflation in the kind of natural course of our business. And in a sense, it's too early to tell, if that path for monetary policy has been optimal. But I will say early indications are that we've called the disinflation reasonably well. Our forecasts have been, just from sort of eyeballing them, have been reasonably accurate on the way down. But as I said, I don't want to get too definitive about it at this point, and we'll do a full review.
And the other thing is,
obviously those high interest rates have really hurt, growth in the economy, from a business perspective, but also just in general home ownership and mortgages, and obviously, having that disposable income in the economy to grow it.
Growth in the economy coming out of COVID was too strong, which is part of the reason why we had inflation in the first place. So the economy was growing at an unsustainable rate. So the job of monetary policy was to take a bit of the heat out of the place. And all indications are the fact that inflation's in the midpoint of the band is that we've managed to do that, and fully recognise that it hasn't been a fun ride for New Zealanders, particularly people with mortgages, but not only, with unemployment nudging up and the like. But we do what we do for the long-term benefit of prosperity and well-being in the economy.
And you mentioned in the monetary statement, obviously, some of the positive policy announcements coming out from the government around interest deductibility and the bright line test, and obviously the impact that's going to start having. When do you envisage that will start kind of kicking in and having that positive impact?
Are you talking about housing?
Yes, housing.
Yeah, so we've got a 6.8% increase in house prices next year. I should say house prices are notoriously difficult to predict, to forecast. But the effects of those types of policy shifts are part of the reason why we've got that 6.8% in there. I should say we're not forecasting a boom in house prices. We sort of see, and which I think is a good thing from a housing affordability perspective. But we do see a little bit more life coming into the housing market than what we've seen over recent years.
Yeah. And just one last quick question, if I may, Chair. Obviously the dairy price is high at the moment. Our dairy sector is a large part of our economy. There wasn't a lot of mention of it in the monetary statement, but that, of course, will impact our economy, positively. Why was that not kind of reflected as much as it may have could have been, I think, in the monetary policy statement?
So it does get reflected in terms of commentary around exports, and we do talk to dairy and both dairy and meat prices increasing off the back of that. Look, it is wonderful to see one sector of the economy, performing well and benefiting from really changes in supply globally. And so, some of the more recent increases we've seen with the Chinese buyers coming back into the market. They're looking to stockpile again. So, the real challenge, I think, still for the sector is that it is volatile, right? And so you can. Should we expect to see $10 a kilo of milk solids, remaining for the next 2 years? I suspect not. It's not proven to be the case in history, but it is really good to see that benefit coming through.
Thank you, Chloe.
Okay, so those are the questions from Catherin Wedd. You can definitely tell as an ex-TV personality, she knows how to do a camera properly.
Yeah, but you could also tell she was, I didn't know who she was, but I was like, this lady's giving me yucky national vibes. And I was obviously right.
Oh, you got that feeling.
Well, yeah, because she's like, oh, what about home owners? As if she's not fucking talking about people who want to sell houses. I'm sorry, she's not concerned about home owners. She's concerned about property fucking buying and selling. That was so obvious.
I don't know, she's definitely a little bit more tame than some of the other national MPs out there. She is shown, like, from my perspective, she's never, I don't think she's even featured on our show before, so we've not actually seen her in action. And I've got a bit more positive from her than probably, say, other Patsy-style questions that you typically get from some of the national people. Like, I remember watching the Māori Wards, was it referendum bill, and apart from James Meagher,
there's
most
really
of the
racist
national
people
questions that came from national were like baiting sort of things. Like, but then if you look at Todd Stevenson, he actually asked serious questions.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't really care about who she is. It's more just I didn't like her questions. They came across as clearly like trying to come across as concerned for the, you know, the your everyman when she's clearly not. And like, I don't care if she's not as bad as other national members. She's still yuck.
Well, and she is the first term MP.
Well, yeah. I mean, she's got to show that she's worried about business people's.
Oh no, I think she is Catherin Wedd. No, she's Tuki. No, I was going to say Nate, but no, she's actually Tuki, not Nate. Yeah. No,
that's why I googled her because I've never heard of her before. But I was like,
oh, she was on One News for years.
I don't reckon, or maybe she just looks different.
Yeah. Well, she is a bit older.
Well, yeah. I mean, when was she on the news?
Oh, like all through my 20s.
Well, how old are you then? That doesn't help me. Oh, okay. Then yeah, I must.
I'm not that much older than you.
To be fair, I actually didn't. No, you're not younger than me. I'm 30. Thank you very much.
I said I'm not much older than you.
Nah, you said younger, but that's all.
No, I was older.
But no, I just didn't. To be fair, I didn't have a TV in my early 20s.
Yeah.
So, fuck. She could have been on TV, and I've never heard of her.
Oh, see, I had it, but then I had like 1.5 megabyte per second. Was it broadband when I was like living rural living? So yeah.
Oh god, yeah, nah, fair enough. See, whereas I at least had good internet when I had it.
Yeah.